I'm going to be doing the ignition timing on the Civic with the B18C4 in it. Some of the issues I have with this car is that everything's at different generations. So the car's a 91 Civic, so 90 to 91. The wiring loom is from an 88 to 89 Honda Civic Shuttle. The ECU is OBD1 out of some 96 base car, I guess. The engine is out of a 98 based car, so the OBD2, and then you've got to kind of find your way through all that. But anyway, because of the engine, the loom in here, this part of the loom anyway, the chassis loom is from a Shuttle, you get this little 2-pin connector, which has got a little cover here. So the first thing you want to do is, obviously after you've got the engine warm and stuff, normally, you want to just you want to bridge these two. So this is going to put the check engine light on permanently. That's one of its effects. The other thing it's going to do is it's going to put the ignition timing in a stable way on the ECU, so the ECU doesn't try and fight the changes you're going to make on the distributor. So then you get your timing light. Now some timing lights come with the adjustment here, and some don't. So say for example if I was going to use this as one that didn't, it would be set to 0 essentially there on the advance, and then I connect it up, I point it down here, okay? So if you see there's a marker here, there, and there's little lines on the pulley as well. Now the pulley has 4 lines on it. One that's on its own is top dead centre. So and then there's the other are basically where the timing needs to be set. So this engine needs to be set at 16 degrees before top dead centre, or B18C4. And it's plus or minus 2 degrees, so that's why there's 3 in there. So it's 16 degrees, minus and plus, so it's anywhere in that range. You find a sweet spot. So if you have one of these, but you don't have the adjustment, so you have it essentially at 0 on the adjustable one, then what you want to do is you want to make sure that that lines up, the strobe lines that up. There's somewhere between those 3 lines. If you do have an adjustable one, then basically you can line it up to either leave it at 0 and do the same as if it wasn't adjustable, or you can line it up to where the top dead centre is and then just dial it into 16 degrees here. So you know, it's up to you, depends on which light you have, but that's why Honda have done that. So you can have the basic time light that doesn't have adjustment, or the more advanced one that does. So that's what it is. How do you go about setting this whole thing up? Often in a Honda engine bay like this, you would have the battery. That's long gone from this car, one of the many changes that have happened to this car. So we can still take power from the fuse box, the main relay box. So here we have the positive, and we have the earth. Okay, and then this needs to be on the HT lead for cylinder 1. So click first cylinder, and then I can just point down here. So hit the trigger if you like, and point that. So what we'll do next is start the car. Point it down here. See that? Yeah. So it moves. So that's at 0. That's actually running like 16 degrees in advance. But if it's not correct, you can undo the adjustment bolts here. So there's one here, there's one at the back there. Okay, and there's one here. And then, so if it's not adjusted, you can move it. So if you move the whole thing anti-clockwise, so towards the back of the car, it advances it. If you move the whole thing clockwise towards the front of the car, it retards the ignition. So you'll find a sweet spot on there. When you're happy that you're reading 16 degrees plus or minus 2 degrees, then you can lock these bolts off, all three of them, and then you're done. That's pretty much as easy as it is. The only other thing I would say is that if you can't really see your marks on the flywheel anymore, you can get some Tipex or some paint pen, and then it's easier to actually see it, because these marks become quite difficult. There's some corrosion on the pulley or whatever. So that's about it. So now that we've done that, we can close that all off. There's some other points as well. We're having a problem at the moment that the fan wasn't coming on, and that's been traced down to the fan switch. So if you have that problem, you can basically short this pin out. So this goes to the sensor. It's difficult to see, but it's on the thermostat housing here. So that sensor here where my finger is, do you see that? Mm-hmm. So you can pull that out, and then you can just wire in this, which basically means that as soon as the ignition comes on, the fan's on all the time. Obviously that's not going to be done like that forever, so we're going to need to buy another fan switch. So that's just a quick tip there. Once you're done with the ignition timing, obviously unplug your little shorting bridging wire and put in this connector again, just to make sure it stays nice and fresh for the next time you need to use it. And there was a last point I was going to mention about the fuel pressure regulator. So the fuel pressure regulator is here, and this is a rising rate fuel pressure regulator. So what you need to do is set the fuel pressure to about 3 bar, which is almost equivalent to 3 kilograms per centimetre squared. It's not quite, but it's similar to that. So set it to around 3, but you want to do that when you don't have your vacuum connected. So that's another thing. So you need to get the car running, and then you can undo this little bolt here, and then undo up the bolt to increase the pressure, or undo the bolt here to reduce the pressure, and you set it to about 3 bar. So those are some of the things I've done, and then once you're happy with that, you can see the car running a bit. Next here we've got a lambda sensor. So this is the gauge, EUGO, E-U-G-O, and this is set to look at air-fuel ratio at the moment. So obviously you have stoichiometric, which is around 14 to 1 air fuel. That's why it's in the centre. You see it gives, once it's calibrated itself, gives you a live reading. So that's a good thing to have the wideband lambda in there, and gives you an understanding of where you are if you're rich. So in air fuel ratio, the lower the number, the richer you are, or the higher the number, the leaner you are. Obviously, if your engine's very lean, then you can have real problems. If it's rich, it won't be running as well. You need to get it sorted out. So that's one of our next steps.